Hi everyone. The long-awaited video on doing your presentation. These are going to be your guidelines. You have to show all pieces from the two projects that you're using from the following classes. All of the things that you did for a full project in Intro to Graphic Design, you can't just show pieces and parts of that project. And the four classes are Introduction to Graphic Design, Introduction to Typography, Interactive Design 1, and Print 2. Keep in mind you will probably only have two projects available for Print 2, but you will be in the middle of your third project. And so if you feel like it's stronger, you might want to push to try to get that done if you feel like it's stronger than one of the projects that you might want to eliminate. Your presentation should have your full name somewhere in it. Presentation should be a reasonable size to be easily downloaded and have enough quality that there's no obvious pixelization apparent. For each project, you should write a statement talking about the design inspiration, the things you learned from the project, and the strength of your work. Right down here is where I'm going to link the YouTube video that you're currently watching now, and this is going to be the schedule. This is all going to be sent out at the same time that the video starts. So let's get started. I'm not going to pull together a full presentation just because I don't want to waste your time while I put together that many slides. Once you've done one, you've done them all. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, down to New Document. Now, because this is on screen, we're going to choose Web, and we're going to come down here, and I've already tested to see which one of these I want, and I'm going to do the 1366 by the 768. That is very much formatted to look like a monitor in terms of the width and height. There are lots of ways to go about this, and these are going to be in pixels. Remember, anything on screen is pixel. So we're going to hit Create. Now, the first thing that I see is that I did something I didn't want to do, which is give myself a border. So I'm going to go back in and create a new document. I think you all know that I hate preset margins. So I'm going to come in and make sure that the margins are set to 0. And that's all we need to do. Obviously, we're horizontal, so we're going to create a new document, and we'll get that without margins. Now, the first thing that I want to do is I want to go to Pages, and I want to create my master. And so I'm going to define a few things about this. I think you can and should be able to go into Preferences and set the units to inches. If you want, I feel more comfortable with inches. I'm sure you as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for myself, and I'm going to do, pretty standard 1/2 inch all the way around with a larger bottom. I'm going to go for 3/4 down there. Now, this is a little bit different than other things. Let's see, right there. So pretty much putting myself at 10 would give me about 3/4. So the first thing that I want to do is I always like to give myself a bottom so that my presentation feels grounded. If you've had me in class, you know that this is, kind of a trick that I use a lot. I'm going to give myself a little bit more space here, and then I'm going to use that space for my presentation name, and I'm going to call this Michelle Nelson JPR Review and then I'm going to do option 8, fall 2021. Now, you can name this at anything that you want. This is what I'm going to name mine. I'm going to put that in my beloved Fruitiger. I'm going to make it black, but I'm going to set it in white, and I'm going to increase the size quite a bit because I want it to be pretty visible. It may be too big at this point, but we'll see. And it is way too big. You know, we want this to be down there, but we don't want it to take up, you know, that much importance. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself a little bit of space, and I want this to have a longer title, and I'm going to do Youngstown State University. And I'm going to bring these guys, I'm going to leave my name in the black and then drop these down to Roman so that I have some visual hierarchy in my composition. Now, the next thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that I give myself a column. Remember, you're going to be giving yourself a column. And so it's important for me to know where that column is because I'm going to use that for my alignment tool right here. I think I'm going to actually drop this down a few points. So it's at 18. I'm going to go for 14. And then I am going to go in and give myself kind of a line right here to give myself some structure. I'm going to make it black. We'll go to our stroke. I want it to be a dash line. And I'm going to make it a weight of 0.5. And then I want to do an ending with this guy, which I think is nice and kind of clean. So let's see what that dash looks like. One of the things that we can do at this point is we can come over here and do preview to see how it's looking. It looks like that dash is not the dash I want. Let's see if that is. That's not the dash I want either. I think I'm just going to stick with a solid line. And then I'm going to bump these guys up. I rarely feel the need, but I'm going to make these 200% instead of 100% and see how I like them because they're really subtle. I like that a little bit better. All right, so up here I'm going to have my text that will be the statement, and also I would encourage you to identify the class. So let's start with Art 2661, Introduction to Graphic Design. And I'm going to have this aligning on this angle. And then I'm going to put the semester, fall. Let's say I took it in fall 2020. So I'm going to go ahead and again, obviously we're going to stick with Fruitiger. We're going to make that bold. We're going to leave that size. And then I'm going to come in with some text. I'm going to call it my statement. And then I'm going to come up here, and because I don't want to worry about going and finding, I'm going to just do fill with placeholder text. Now this text should be body copy, so I'm going to go ahead and drop it down to 9-point type. I'm also going to drop it from that heavy font to a lighter one. So I'm going to leave that there. I think I'm going to go ahead and bring this down a little bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and give myself a line here. I'm going to stick with the same qualities that I had over here, so I'm just using my eyedropper to select that. So that's nice and light. It's not going to interfere with the work. Now this is the area that I'm going to have the work in. And so at this point, I'm going to leave this alone, and I am going to go into my pages. Now, so it depends on whether you're showing your pieces multiples on the same page, or if you're going to be considering multiple pages for the same project. Let's say it has 3 different elements. You could show all 3 elements on the same page, or you could show all 3 elements on 3 separate pages. So that's going to define how many pages you need. I'm going to go ahead and say that I want to just have the 6 that I'm going to present. So I'm going to go ahead and give myself, I'm going to come in here and insert pages, and I'm going to actually insert 6, even though you have 6, you have 8, you have 4 classes, so you have, let's say, 8 pages because you have 2 projects per. So I'm going to go ahead and insert 8 even though I already have a page. And the reason why is because I'm going to create a welcome page up here. So let's go ahead and blow up this page a little bit. I'm going to leave this bar down here. I'm going to hit Command Shift and grab all of this stuff right here. And then I'm actually going to use this information up here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that black now. I am also only going to use it up there, so I'm going to delete this here. Now, there are very few instances where I think centered works, but I'm going to go ahead and say that centered works fine here, and I'm going to center my type. Now, I am going to grab that because the most important thing is the name. So I'm going to drop that into the center. Now, if you wonder where the center is, if you pull this to each side, it will make it exactly centered. Now, one of the things that I could do is decide if I wanted to add kind of a light background or something in the back. So let's go ahead and do that just to cut the contrast. I don't want to do it on my designs, but I'm going to do it here. I'm going to make this 15%. I'm going to do object arrange send to back, and that'll give me a little less contrast as we start. Now, one of the things that I can do, and I'm going to do, is I'm going to go back into my pages. I'm going to grab this bar right here, and I'm going to use that on that intro page. And I'm just going to pull it a little bit wider and center it. Now, one of the things that I'm not super happy about is how snugged up. So I'm going to do a hard return, which means that I need to go ahead and do that. And so I'm going to go ahead and give myself that line right underneath. And then this is a little too far, so we can fix that by going in and playing with the leading. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up a little bit with my leading. So that's going to be my cover. So this first piece is, oh, look, we have a little typo. That's one of the reasons why master pages are so great, because then I can come up here and say, oh, I'm going to fix that. Go back down to page 1. All right, so let's start something with, and these are not from the classes that, you guys are using, but I'm just going to go ahead and kind of grab work from a grouping of student work that I have over here. So for example, let's grab this. Now, one of the things that I recommend you do is to do screen captures. So if I pull this as large as I can make it, and I hit Command Shift and 4, then I can do a screen capture on just the work. That's going to come down into my screen captures down here. The reason why I'm suggesting that you do that is because it will make your work sized small enough that it won't create a problem. You can see that it came in nicely. So we're going to come in and we're going to reduce it. Let's say we're going to make it 75%, still too big. We're going to do it 75% again. And then it's up to you. I think to make it easy, it would be best to like center in that position and then let it go. And so you can see that I'm not showing all of the bills here, but that's one piece. All right, so let's do my next piece. Again, I'm going to open up a piece that is not from a class project that is maybe intro to graphic design, but we're still in intro to graphic design. And let's see. I want to do one of the catalogs. Nope, this is going to be postcards. This is going to be a PSD file, so we're going to go ahead and open it in PSD since it's going to be a little bit easier. Again, I'm going to do a screen capture, and the screen capture is because then you don't have to go through the process of lowering the resolution. So we're going to do this set of postcards. I'm going to hit Command Shift 4, and then I'm going to do kind of a tight click or tight even grab on that. And then I can come into my screen captures and it should appear right here. Sometimes it takes a minute for it to save. And we're going to drag that there. And then we're going to click, and you can see that we need to make this a little bit, so we're going to smaller, so we're going to make it 75%, and I'm going to center it right there. And then we're going to move on to my next one. Now keep in mind, we're through the intro to graphic design. We would want to go to change our statement. So I'm going to hit Command Shift click here. And we also want to change this to 3760, and that's Introduction to Typography. And of course, this would be, Spring 21. And then we would change our statement out. And then we're going to go ahead and grab one more piece. And we're going to grab it from a PSD. So this one has a background. I'm going to hit Command Shift 4. And I'm going to click, as small as I can get away with, because I don't think that the texture here is doing us any favors in terms of making the work look better. We're going to go back to our screen captures right there. We're going to drag it in, click on it, and then we're going to make it 75% and then drag it in and see if that works in terms of sizes. It looks like it's going to be perfect. So let's pretend that we have everything filled in. What we're going to do after we finish this is we're going to save as a PDF. Now remember, when you save PDFs, you should outline your type on all of your pieces. You don't necessarily have to, because I'm not going to be printing these out, but it is something that I would recommend. So make sure you outline your type. I'm not going to do that. You guys know how to outline type. And now I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to do Adobe Press Quality. And then I'm going to do Final, JPR, and then I'm just going to title it with my last name, Nelson, and hit Save. I'm going to do Acrobat. I'm going to do all of my pages. I didn't have any extras. If you did have extras, you might want to choose range. I'm going to go ahead and export. You should not worry about doing any crop marks or anything else on this. And then right here is that presentation. And the reason that it's so nice is that I can now click into that presentation, do full screen mode. And it may take a minute. And you can see that it's taking up my whole screen, and now I can click through that. Just like a PowerPoint presentation. The reason why I like this, and we can see that we have a little error right here, so we want to fix that. The reason why I like this, it must have been that when we made that change to typography, we took away one of our spacing. The reason why I prefer this to PowerPoint is because I get to control it really tightly, and it is in a format that I understand very well, whereas PowerPoint is not something that I understand really well. Now, one last thing, I can see on this with a dark background, I'm not loving it, so one of the things that I could do after I look through, and you're just going to hit escape to get rid of that. We're going to go back into InDesign, and I'm going to click this, and I'm going to decide that I want a stroke on it, and I want it to be actually I'm going to do a 0.25, and that's just going to clean up that edge for us a little bit. You know, and I wouldn't do that on something like this that has a very light background, or something like this which has no background, but on a dark background like this, I certainly would. I heavily encourage you to think about using PSD mockups to make your work look like it's completely formatted. They could be very subtle. You can see that this is just got a little bit of an edge to make it look like it is laying on the surface of something. These also have that same thing. Do PSD mockups. The goal here is to make your work look as good as possible. Since we're here, we're just going to fix this where we just need to do another return. Be careful of those. Always double check your work at the end, and use those PSD mockups, and format your work in a way that's clean and professional. Think of this as kind of a portfolio, a digital portfolio that you might send a future employer. Think of these statements as statements that you might embed in that, and those are those are really important aspects to kind of come across as a clean, clear professional that we are hoping you will be at the end of your time with us at YSU. So that is all I'm going to say. I'm going to wrap it up. If you have questions, you have close to a month to get questions. If you feel like you need to meet with me, please feel free to schedule. I've had lots of meetings on Fridays. There are some parts of Fridays that I'm not always available, but you also know that those Monday, Wednesday, 8 to 9 spot, which a lot of people have used, are always available. And then from about 1:30 to 2:30 every Monday, Wednesday, and even 12:30 to 2:30 every Monday, Wednesday. I try to keep some of that time open for my seniors, but things are winding down a little bit in that area. So 8 to 9 Mondays, Wednesdays, 12:30 to 2:30 Monday, Wednesday, and then a good portion of Friday. But if you schedule a meeting to talk about your presentation and I decline it, it is probably because I already have something going on. As we approach, I'm also available in the evenings, probably from 4 to 5, Monday through Thursday. All right. Thank you. Bye.